Screamtail is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting Paradox Pokemon. While it's in the never used category competitively, and while it's most often used defensively as a support role, today we're going to make it an offensive monster instead. So it's a fairy psychic type with some stats that open the door for a whole lot of opportunities. It's got great all-around bulk and speed with base 111, and while its special attack only sits at 65, those HP and defensive stats allow it to get into some shenanigans. First of all, when we switch in, we get a boost of energy to give an immediate +1 to speed, and the Jurassic Jigglypuff is now faster than just about anything. We're now free to set up with Calm Mind, which not only makes us indestructible on the special side, but also gives our special attack some much needed help. We've got Stab Psyshock for good damage, along with the true kicker, Paranormal boosted Boom Burst. With Boom Burst being an absolute nuke at 140 power, paired with the Paranormal boost, this hits way harder than people are going to expect. We round things off with a nice little flamethrower for great coverage, and while Screamtail looks friendly, this thing can easily get into a position to destroy some people with a smile. Alright, look, one of the weirdest things they did this generation is give Jigglypuff a Mohawk tail form. And while this thing does look mostly friendly, I can assure you it's a pink ball of rage. And even on its stats, it's not really offensive, but today we're going all out attack form mode. And if that sounds like a fun time to you, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes you a second. You probably won't regret it. And with that, let's just jump into the match. Alright, so my opponent is starting things off with immediate ghostly pressure. They go Dragapult. I've got myself a Talonflame because I honestly wasn't sure about a lead matchup here, so I figured why not just toss the flame out and get a little speedy U-turn action going. Now, great part about Dragapult lead is I get to see kind of what this thing wants to do. I figure if they want a U-turn, that actually works out nicely. While Talonflame was supposed to be a speedy U-turn, they go for a U-turn first because obviously Dragapult faster, and they actually also activate a Flame Body, which could be absolutely amazing if the thing turns out to be a physical attacker. Of course, however, you never know what the hell a Dragapult's gonna do. Is it gonna be special, physical, support? Who knows? But I get a burn on it, so that always feels good. And I'm able to also get a U-turn on whatever their switch-in turns out to be, which is gonna be the Hisuian Arcanine. So the slower pivot turn 1 works out really nice because now I get myself some matchup momentum. Now, I decide to go into the Claude. I feel like why not bring in John Claude, get a little bit of Stealth Rock going. And obviously, Arcanine has no business staying in against ground type. So, sadly for Claude, this is going to draw in the Earthworm. But he comes in thinking, hey, does anybody have any Earth I can straight up eat? Boy, am I hungry for some dirt. Now, I do get up my Stealth Rock, and at this point, I am it was checkmated, against Earthworm. I can't really stay in here. So, realizing they probably set up Stealth Rock, if they Shed Tail, that might be a little bit unfortunate. But I decide, you know what? Talonflame does come in here relatively safely. I can come in. They do go for the Stealth Rock. And now I can kind of threaten this thing with some Fire Stab or go for a Will-O-Wisp if they do want to stay in. I'm thinking I might as well go for a Will-O-Wisp. If it wants to Shed Tail here, it will take the burn first, and then that would be really nice to just slowly whittle the thing down, because Earthworm is a little bit of a problem. But it turns out they're just going to go right back into Dragapult, who is already burnt. Ghostly Toes comes in, and a Will-O-Wisp ain't going to happen. So Talonflame's primary objective is to make things burnt. So as this thing does take a little bit of the chip there, I figure I'm kind of in a weird matchup here where I don't have much that really wants to switch into the thing. If they want a U-turn, they're just going to get good momentum. So I decide to stay in and go for a little U-turn myself. If they wanted a U-turn, that would have put me in a great spot. Turns out they do just click a Draco Meteor, which is nice because Talonflame, can live that. It is unfortunate. It turns out to be a special Pult. But as Talonflame stays alive and I get the slow U-turn, now I can go into whatever I want. And honestly, it's feeling like pudding time, baby. I can go into the Screamtail. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for setup on the thing for a couple different reasons. First of all, I come in, I get my Photosynthesis boost from the booster energy. I am now going to be faster than Dragapult. Not only that, but Pult has no business really in this matchup staying in. It has got -2 special attack, and this puts me in a perfect spot to get up a free Calm Mind, because this thing, it definitely needs a little bit of a booster to get going in terms of offense. So I go for that Calm Mind, and this is going to draw in the Earthworm. Now, this is exactly kind of what I wanted to happen, right? Earthworm is a pretty logical switch in here. As I go for the Calm Mind, they realize they are dealing with, probably not the type of Screamtail that they wanted to see. I'm going offensive. I get that Calm Mind up, which is great, but also Earthworm isn't a bad matchup here. I have the coverage with the Flamethrower, and first, I figure, I can really capitalize on this situation by going for a Terra Normal. What that's going to do is, knowing that they probably just click Heavy Slam here, I can take an attack easily because this thing's about bulky as hell. And Screamtail is one of my, honestly, an insane setup mod, just because with Calm Minds, you can't touch it on the special side naturally, but with that boost, it's crazy. It also just has great HP and just general physical bulk, so I can go ahead and take this opportunity to set up a second Calm Mind, and that, while we're getting a little bit greedy, is now going to double my special attack, making it honestly pretty damn scary. So they do go for the Heavy Slime, which is perfect, does not do much. But now as I'm looking at a full health worm, I've got to get enough damage on this flamethrower. I'm able to bust it out, and it lives it with like 3 HP, which is absolutely diabolical. But as they go for a body press, now super effective, non-stab body press, we're able to live with 7. Somehow, the thickest Jiggly of all time is able to come in clutch there. I live it with 7, which is absolutely amazing, because now I can finish it with a flamethrower, but with that booster energy, with +2 to my special attack with the Calm Minds, it's looking like we've kind of got this thing in a win condition situation, other than the fact that Arcanine might just have extreme speed. Priority obviously shuts this down. As they bring in the Arcanine here, it takes Stealth Rock, does not go for the extreme speed, doesn't have it, might be Choice Scarfed, we're faster anyway, and as I go for the Psyshock, that is gonna finish it off with a critical hit. After damage calculating, I don't believe the crit mattered. Looking at a Psyshock at +2 does around 90% to it, so probably didn't need the crit. Regardless, the Screamtail is going on an absolute tear here. Kill streak building up. They decide now to go into the Yanmega, this is one of the main reasons why we love booster energy, just as basically a free built-in Choice Scarf with the ability to switch moves. Honestly, insane. Because as they go for the Protect there, gonna be able to get a speed boost. This thing's now sitting at +1. Problem for them is the Screamtail is base 111 speed with the +1 boost as well. I can now just finish it off with a Boom Burst. Stab Boom Burst, bringing the Jiggly back to its normal type roots is honestly pretty fun. So base 140 is insane when you also get the stab on it. Now as they go Dragapult, one of the interesting parts about this set that I'm working with is I opted not to go for the Dazzling Gleam. The 4 move slot syndrome is kind of crazy, but at +2, a Psyshock is just able to finish off the Dragapult anyway. Always extremely satisfying to see that thing outsped. And looking at what Buddy's got left, it's feeling like Screamtail's kind of got him back against the wall, because as they are able to bring in the Sandaconda, young pretzel snake, I can just go for that Boom Burst. And yeah, with 2 Calm Minds, a 140 stab Boom Burst is gonna just send that thing back to the pits of sandy hell that it came from. So, you know, final mon is gonna end up being the Ogerpon, gonna be the Wellspring form. So, barring anything crazy here, it should be able to finish it off with the Boom Burst. Also, my audio cut out on this last attack for some reason, but needless to say, this thing's ears were still blown the hell up from that Boom Burst. That's going to take care of the Ogerpon, and that goes to show that if you can find the Screamtail a position to just get some Calm Minds up and take attacks, it's got coverage, it's got damage. This thing is an unsuspecting monster. So, well, that's going to do it for game number 1. That's now going to bring us into the second match. And look, as always, if you've stuck around this far in the video, go ahead and do me a favor and hit that like button. I can see that you haven't clicked it yet, and honestly, what the hell, man? You've hurt my feelings. Nah, just kidding. If you don't want to, don't click it. But, I mean, it would help out. And with that, let's just go ahead and jump into the next match. I'm not gonna lie, there was a while there, I was a Screamtail non-believer, but honestly, this set is crazy, and it's actually pretty damn wild. Just the booster energy speed truly changes the game. Anyway, my opponent this time is gonna lead off with a Hydreigon. I've got myself Clodsire, who looks like he has no idea what the hell's going on here, and that's because he does not. I figure, you know, this is fine. I can take special attacks, I can set up my Stealth Rock, and then be on my little poopy way. So, as they end up bringing in the Metagross, comes in looking like somebody's trying to tickle his neck. I do not like this the floating animation of Metagross is about weird as hell. But anyway, I do not want to take anything like an Earthquake or a Psychic Fang, so I decide, when in doubt, switch into Talonflame. You know, I can take physical attacks, maybe if it touches me, might get a little bit of a flame body action going, but instead they just go for the Stealth Rock, which is fine. I'm not super worried about Stealth Rock on this team. Talonflame's heavy duty boots, that's fine. Now, looking at this matchup, I'm thinking surely they end up switching into the Alomomola. I don't quite know the playstyle of the opponent yet, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and click a U-turn. That's going to cover for switching, and I can get myself a matchup. Turns out we are met with Big Fat Fish, and God, do I hate this thing. I can go for a U-turn here, and basically, I can also scout the item. It does turn out to be Rocky Helmet, so youch. Get poked a little bit on my talons, but it's fine. I can now go into whatever the hell I want, and as I'm looking at it here, it feels like a decent opportunity to see, just maybe see if we can get the Oricorio going. So I bring in the sickest Oricorio form, by the way, and what I want to try to do here is bait something like a Toxic. A lot of the time you can exploit Alomomolas because they don't do damage. So I can go for a substitute here just in case they want to heck around and go for something like a Toxic or a Flip Turn. Turns out they're just going to hard switch, and as they bring back in the Hydreigon here, I am behind a substitute. Now, there is a couple ways that this matchup could go. I have to go for a Quiver Dance behind a substitute. I'm legally obligated. I feel like, you know what, well, I have to. I go for the Quiver Dance here. Now, Hydreigon does naturally outspeed the Oricorio. Now, the second way this could go, as they break the substitute with the Dark Pulse there, is as I get up a Quiver Dance, I am now at +1. Problem could be, if Buddy is wearing a Choice Scarf, it will still outspeed me at +1, which would be unfortunate, but it's fine. I'd go for it anyway because as I click Hurricane, the payoff would be sweet, but they do turn out to be Choice Scarf, and the Dark Pulse is able to pick me off. So, you know, at least what we've gained is knowledge. And honestly, in the game of Pokemon, knowledge is everything. So knowing that this thing is Choice Scarfed, I find myself in a perfect opportunity to get the prehistoric Jiggly going, baby. I can bring this thing in because also after photosynthesis, I am going to be faster than the thing just because we're naturally speedier. But also, this is a fantastic position to get up a free Calm Mind. It can stay in a Dark Pulse, but the prospect of just a fairy anything breathing on it and dying is a great spot for me to get up a free Calm Mind. So as they end up bringing in the Venusaur here, that feels fine. Obviously, they pressure me a bit there with something like a Sludge Bomb, but after a Calm Mind especially, I am not dying from that. Also, your boy's part Psychic, so now as I get +1 to Special Attack and Special D, I'm feeling like I'm in a spot where a Psyshock probably knocks this thing out, barring a Terra. That would be bad. But honestly, if they want to use up a Terra and hit me with a non-killing Sludge Bomb, that's fine. I do just go for the Psyshock here. We yell at him, which summons a crazy sphere of Psychic, and that is going to knock it out. So down goes the big-ass frog. And just like that, we're at +1 speed, we're at +1 special, and we're feeling pretty good. Now, obviously, the natural instinct is to bring in this steel type, right? So that's why we got Flamethrower, though, baby. Nothing like a little coverage here. I can go for the Terra Normal because I'm honestly not comfortable in the fact that this Flamethrower is gonna knock it out. So I go for the Terra Normal just to cover for the fact that obviously I'm in danger of, you know, Steel Stab. So I put the Diamond on my head. And as they go for the Bullet Punch, that is fine. Now it's not going to do a damn thing, which is sick. And as I go for the Flamethrower, this damn guy has an Aka Berry. What the hell is that? I was like, excuse me? The Flamethrower now does nothing because of Aka, which is wild. And I'm like, hey, that's actually still fine though, because with that Terra, I still have the pressure of a Flamethrower now. So I'm just going to click it again, absolutely. And as they can just switch into the Alomomola, I was kind of thinking that they might do that. But honestly, here's the thing. After the little bit of a Flamethrower chip, a now stab boosted +1 Boom Burst is probably going to knock out this Alomomola, as it's most of the time it's going to be physical. So now I just go ahead and pull out the secret weapon, being the Boom Burst with the power of the Diamond, and that's going to knock out the Alomomola before it got to do anything, which is got to be the most satisfying feeling ever, is just knocking out something like that without before any shenanigans. So as I'm feeling like I'm on a little bit of a tear with the Jurassic Jiggly, here's where things get interesting. Now, they go into the Mimikyu, and I can take an attack from Mimikyu. I decided to just go for a Flamethrower to break its disguise. As long as I get that broken, then I'm in range for a Psyshock to do its thing. Funny part is, though, it turns out to have Red Card, which is wildly unfortunate. It is now going to force me out into a random teammate. Not only that, but now this Mimikyu is going to be in a great matchup versus Latios. And it's also going to be able to get up a free Swords Dance because, goddammit, Mimikyu is always in a spot to just put crazy pressure on you. So now the roles have reversed a little bit here. Now here's the thing, while I am in danger of just a Shadow Sneak knocking me out, I could have a couple plays, right? I could go back into Jiggly predicting that. I could go into the Clodsire, which honestly, I decided to stay in and just bait them or force them to having to go for that Shadow Sneak. And yeah, that just knocks me out. I should have gone Clodsire. I was just worried about if they had gone for something like a Shadow Claw, then switching in Clodsire is no longer an easy answer. And honestly, you got to play careful around a damn Mimikyu. I decide it's probably just my safest bet to just get the free switch into the Clodsire here. I am unaware, so I don't even know about that Swords Dance. As they do go for the Shadow Claw, it does get big damage, always runs the risk of getting a crit there. Luckily does not crit and allows me to fire off in return a little Earthquake. So after some leftovers, it turns out we are safe versus the Mimikyu. Now, while another Earthquake knocks it out, I'm trying to consider what their play is here. Do they stay in and let this thing just go down? I decide to predict the switch and go for a Toxic instead. Now, they don't though. They just stay in and go for another Shadow Claw, which we do live with no threat, no crit, thank God. And as I get the Toxic, it's still a good middle ground play because, you know, slowly it's gonna, in a couple turns, it's gonna go down anyway. If I have to use up Clodsire for this matchup, so be it. And honestly, while the Screamtail did use up its booster energy, it no longer has its boost. It's still looking like in the back, it could still be a nice little late game option for me. So looking at it now, I'm like, you know what? They surely just go for another Shadow Claw. That's gonna allow me a free switch into the thing. And being normal, then I'm not in risk of a Shadow Sneak, so then I can finish it off. It turns out, though, they are going to just switch into Metagross, which is still kind of fine because now at least I get to conserve the Clodsire for that, the Mimikyu at least later, just in case shit gets crazy. But now Puddin comes in, glistening in the sunlight, turns it nighttime, of course, when you're freaking terrestrialized, but I'm still healthy. I'm above half. I also now have a flamethrower that does not care about an Aqua Berry as you already consumed it. I can just go ahead and roast and toast him, and that is an Xbox 360 with the red ring of death right there. Showing my age with that one, but it's a dead Metagross, which is satisfying. And now as Kilowattrel comes in, it's the only thing that is going to be faster than me without my booster energy. But as they go for an Air Slash to try to roll for the flinch, it misses. So that is wildly unfortunate for Buddy, as I can now just go for a Boom Burst, and without any boost, that is going to just straight up delete the Kilowattrel as well. So they probably go for the Air Slash there, knowing that a Thunderbolt doesn't kill with just my natural special bulk. And honestly, I'd probably do the same. But the miss is unfortunate. And now they've got two mons left. It's going to be the Hydreigon, who we know is Scarf. And the problem with the Scarf Hydreigon is with the Dark Pulse, it could always flinch us. Luckily, though, Jiggly is not going down like that, baby. I do not get flinched. Sadly, however, Boom Burst is not going to be able to do it. And that's the downfall of not having Dazzling Gleam. But as they can just finish me off with one more Dark Pulse, the game is honestly still could go either way, right? Because anytime that there's a Hydreigon who's going to be faster than everything, with a Stab Dark Pulse, it's not only going to do great damage, but it also is just going to threaten me with, if one flinch ruins this entire match. Now, Talonflame turns out to be the only mon that I have that can live in attack. Now, thank God I'm heavy duty boots. They go for the Dark Pulse. I'm thinking no flinch, please. And thank God it does not flinch. So I can finish it off with a Brave Bird, which is clutch. And yeah, I was shaking in my boots, my heavy duty boots, in fear of a flinch there. So final mon gonna be the Mimikyu, who does have to come in and take Stealth Rock. And the best part is, next turn it probably just goes down to the poison anyway. So as they can just finish me with a Shadow Sneak, at least I'm thinking I live it with 8, and that's the power of max HP Talonflame. We're able to clutch that live and then just guarantee the dub with the old Brave Bird. So that's gonna finish off the Mimikyu, and that's gonna be the end of the game on that one. So once again, Screamtail coming in clutch does reveal that it's not always gonna be a crazy sweep, but it does still get some value in that match without even having boosts, which is honestly pretty sweet. So that's now gonna bring us into game number 3, because we're out here having a good time messing around. And that's how we do it around here. We're also going up against a team that's looking pretty damn threatening. I'm not going to lie. But, you know, if there's a Jiggly, there's a way. And so let's just jump into it. All right, so this time we are once again dealing with a Kilowattrel, this time as a lead. But luckily for me, I got Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo, who comes in looking sad, but also happy that this matchup is perfect. They can no longer Volt Switch. I can get up my Stealth Rock and just be on my little Clodsire way. So as they end up swapping, now the problem, they go into Grafaiai, and this little bastard is never up to any good. I'm gonna be honest. I hate to see this thing. Just Prankster. It's most of the time gonna be Prankster Encore, and that is the most diabolical combo in all of freaking competitive mons. Because as I go for the Stealth Rock there, well, it's not that big of a deal. I'm expecting the Encore. That's exactly what they're gonna do. No harm, really, no foul. So, I mean, they Encore me there. I'm stuck into Stealth Rock, and it's kind of an obvious play, because you don't go into this thing if you're living in fear of an earthquake. So at this point, I have no real option to stay in here. Problem is, now I know they go for a Parting Shot. And while Grafaiai is predictable, it still gets you, right? I decide to just switch here as I go into the Talonflame. It turns out, though, they go for the knockoff. So not as predictable as I once thought. Gets rid of my boots. Nothing like getting your boots knocked off by a freaking painter monkey thing. That's annoying, because now they go for the Prankster Parting Shot. And without my boots on, Talonflame is now going to be in major danger of of Stealth Rock damage later. But I figure, hey, that's fine. I know that they're likely just going to end up swapping here, so I can go for a Will-O-Wisp on whatever they want to bring in. And as they go into the freaking Ogerpon, I'm like, oh yeah, rubbing my hands together like an evil villain, thinking I got a Wisp on it. Nope, it misses. Willow miss. And now I'm forced to go for it on the next turn, because I really would like this thing to be burned. Now, a Cornerstone Ogerpon with a Sword Stance is scary, and instead they just go right for the Ivy Cudgel. It does not matter how burnt this damn thing is. You touch me with a rock and I'm dead. So down goes the Talonflame, but hey, at least I got some value in terms of hopefully stopping this thing from going for crazy setup sweep. Now, looking at my Revenge Switch in, this team obviously functions with a couple different things to try to get set up here. Now, as I go into the Latios, I'm thinking to myself, surely I can get up a little Dragon Dance here, and I can take attacks from a Burnt Ogerpon. That's totally fine. Now, they are just going to go ahead and go all in on the Burnt Ogre. Dude. They go for the Sword Stance, and as I go for the Dragon Dance, we're just out here having a little fiesta. So I'm now at +1 attack and speed. Obviously, I've been working with physical Latios here just because, literally, why not? And after a Dragon Dance, well, I'm going to be faster I decide a Zen Headbutt is my best bet here because I can get a flinch maybe. Now, it turns out it's not my best bet because it fucking misses. I don't know what kind of bright powder Buddy's holding, but I've now missed 2 crucial attacks on the thing, and that's annoying. I should have just gone for Dragon Claw as the guaranteed hit, because as they go for the Ivy Cudgel, while I can take it, the problem now becomes I have to Dragon Claw it, and honestly, this thing's pretty bulky, especially when you consider the fact that they now go for the Terra. They're gonna go for the crazy Rock Mask Boy, and with that comes a physical defensive boost. I don't know why I said it like that. A physical defensive boost is gonna be probably just enough to allow it to live a Dragon Claw, and they were correct. And that is unfortunate. What I once thought was gonna be a crippled ass Ogerpon, I'm now just getting destroyed by, because they can finish me off with another Ivy Cudgel. And now down goes the Latios. So, you know, didn't quite get it going there, but at least honestly they use up the Terra there, because with that burn, it's not going to stick around too much longer. And the best part is freaking Puddin can come in safely, and honestly, we're faster than everything they've got, especially after a booster energy. So I come in. I also love this thing's floating animation. Honestly, making this video has turned me into a Screamtail enjoyer. I was not before, but now I kind of am. So I get that booster energy. I also am thinking to myself, even though it's got a Sword Dance, screw it, dude. I'm going to go for a Calm Mind, because I do obviously need that offensive pressure. I go for the Calm Mind just knowing that an Ivy Cudgel isn't going to do enough to knock me out. And if you can't knock me out in one hit, you're going to have a bad time. Now, they go for the Horn Leech instead, which honestly kind of scares me, because as it gets some health back there, it doesn't do a ton to me, but it heals itself up to the point where I'm like, my best thing to click on this is going to be Psyshock, and I have to hit it on the physical side, and I'm like, oh shit. But one thing I failed to consider is that Screamtail is the GOAT. A Psyshock is going to finish off Tiki Man, and down goes a very scary offensive threat, and that thing's out of the way. So now we basically just get to take the Jiggly as far as it can go, right? I have the booster energy. I'm faster than everything they've got. I've still got a reasonable amount of health, and I have some offensive pressure with some coverage and stuff. So as they go Grafaiai, the problem with this is Grafaiai probably is going to Parting Shot here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just click the Psyshock. It was either they Encore, and then they can basically sack the Grafaiai, and then have a King Gambit who cannot be touched by the Psyshock. But instead, they do go for that Parting Shot. Unfortunately for me, I probably should have made this prediction. As they do go into the King Gambit. This thing comes in, gets Supreme Overlord, probably a little earlier than it would like to, but now as I go for the Psyshock, it doesn't affect the guy. So I'm sitting at neutral special attack at this point, and here's the thing. I don't really care to switch this out. I decided to just go for the Flamethrower, because I know I can take a Sucker Punch. A neutral Flamethrower is still, or it's super effective, but at least my, neutral special attack boost is still going to do a decent chunk. It almost brings it to half, and now as they go for the Sword Stance, they are surely just going to click a Sucker Punch here. And now is when we get to begin the Sucker Punch games, baby. I decide to go for a Calm Mind, and the Sucker Punch is going to fail there. So now we've gotten ourselves in a 50-50 roll here. Now, either they just go for the Sucker Punch and hopefully knock me out, or they predict me to just Calm Mind again. I am just going to click Flamethrower. It turns out they're going to predict me to just Calm Mind again. If in that situation, I feel like you just have to spam Sucker Punch, right? At +2, it's going to knock me out. But luckily for me, they make the over prediction. And we love to win the Sucker Punch mind games, especially when you're not the one clicking Sucker Punch. So, hell yeah. Now, also what's great is in comes Dragapult. And while Dragapult, I do not have the damn Dazzling Gleam for it, I can go for the Terra Normal to just guarantee that I live whatever they want to go for. I'm imagining they click Hex, and as I go for that Terra Normal, they just disconnect. Which means that, yep, they probably just went for a Shadow Ball or Hex or something like that, and that's hilarious. So that's going to be the abrupt end on that one. But I've got one more bonus one for you, because that was a short one there. But Screamtail still on top, baby. Now this time, this is a crazy ass looking team, and all that matters though is that the Screamtail is primed and ready. And let's just get into it. All right, so this time, as expected from the preview, Buddy's gonna lead off with the Glamora, and I expecting that to go Clodsire just because while it can hit me with an Earth Power, it's fine. I'm specially defensive. I eat that all day, and I want to try to get up my Stealth Rock. They do just go for that Earth Power, and Mr. Hanky eats that up. So, I set up my little rocks here, and we're having ourselves a nice, what would it be, a Clodsire just glistening in the plaza sunlight. I figure at this point, I'm probably best off just going for an Earthquake. While it will get some Toxic Spikes on my side, I can just end up swapping back out and then back in Clodsire to soak them up. It turns out, though, they're going to end up swapping. They save the Glamora as they bring in Indeedee. This thing is obviously going to set up the freaking Grape Juice on the battlefield as it comes in. Psychic Surge is active, and I am in danger of anything Psychic destroying me. So at least, however, I'm able to get off an Earthquake, which is nice. It's going to be some great damage there. And after some leftovers, Clodstar's looking healthier than we would have expected. So at this point, surely just an expanding force comes in, and I'm like, who do I switch into that? I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm just gonna go Screamtail. I can come in on any special attack ever, and also take advantage of the fact that the Psychic Train is gonna boost up my own Psyshock. So as I bring this thing in, we're smiling, looking adorable, and like an orb you would absolutely love to ponder. I do get that Protosynthesis boost. We're gonna be fast as hell, and it turns out though, this Indeedee has different ideas. They go for the trick, which is, first of all, interesting because of the fact that they don't get an item back from me, considering I just used my booster energy, but now I get a Choice Scarf. And there may never been a faster Screamtail, dude. I'm +1 speed, max speed with the Choice Scarf. So I'm like, well, might as well take advantage of the fact that I can at least go for the Psyshock here. While it doesn't do much to Indeedee, they end up swapping into Sneasler. And, you know, that turns out to be a bad time for Buddy because I got a little Psyshock waiting boosted by this Psychic Terrain. It does come in and activates a Psychic Seed to activate its Unburden ability, but you can enjoy that Unburden in hell, buddy, because that's going to take care of it. And, you know, probably should not have switched that thing in, but we love to see it. And now as they go Glimora, the fun part is, even if it's Focus Sash, it gets broken by the Stealth Rocks. I'm like, I'm just going to click Psyshock again. There's literally no reason not to, and that knocks it out because of the fact that the terrain boosts it. So kind of a hilarious way to get this thing going. Now as they go Indeedee, I just knocked this thing out with a Psyshock too, and I'm like, do we just spam Psyshock and ruin the game? Yep, that's pretty much what happens. They decide to head out because they realize they have immensely messed up against the Screamtail, and that was kind of just a fun way to end it. So look, that's going to be the end of the video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. I had a fun time messing around with the Screamtail. And look, if you haven't clicked the like button, you're dead to me. If you have, I will be at your house in approximately 3.5 hours with a little smooch for you. I will see you next time. Peace out.